Good morning. I'm so happy today to introduce to you my dear friend, Nicole Phillips of the Kindness Project. Is that what you call it? The Kindness Project?
Podcast. There is,
Podcast?
there is a Kindness Project podcast, but mine is
Yes.
Kindness Podcast.
Yes. Yeah. I met Nicole about 4 years ago at She Speaks, which is a Christian women's conference in, I think, North Carolina. And she came up to me while I was talking to someone else on the phone and said, hi, because I guess we recognize each other from the blog or something. We knew each other's faces or names.
Yeah.
And we just had such a sweet time, and we've stayed in touch a little bit since that time. And she has gone on to, I think, publish 2 books, and one is just about ready to come out, maybe in the fall. And she has a wonderful legacy, and I can't wait to share her with you. But first of all, Nicole, if you could just tell us a little bit about your family and then your ministry and the podcast, and then we'll get into the questions.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I am the mom of 3 and the wife of a college basketball coach. So we live in Aberdeen, South Dakota, and my husband coaches men's basketball at Northern State University here. So we have coaches' kids. So you'll usually find us as little bleacher creatures, during the season with all of our today I'm actually wearing it's maroon and gold. And so I'm wearing my maroon, my burgundy, whatever.
Just like USC, I can send you leftover stuff.
Yay, good.
Same colors.
I love it. So I have a daughter who is 16 and a son who's 14, and the littlest is going to be 10 soon. And we have a golden doodle who's 70 pounds. And
wow.
So we have a sweet little family, and I'm incredibly grateful for that family because I feel like it looks a little different than the family that I grew up in. And it was important to me as a child to be able to have, to create a marriage in which, the husband and the wife are together and, everybody is safe under one roof. And so let
me ask you a quick question. Do you think people who come from that kind of family don't even give it a second thought? They just think that's the way it's going to turn out, and then it doesn't, and they're more surprised. Whereas you came from parents who divorced, correct?
Yep.
And in a very difficult situation, as I recall. And do you write about that at all in any of your books?
Yeah, it kind of weaves in and out.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
part of who I am.
But the point is that you came at this family building with real intention to make sure
yes,
things turned out better than where you came from. I think that's a legacy in itself. Did you want to say anything about that?
Well, yes, Saul and I, that's my husband. One of the very first conversations we had when we talked about being together long-term was that we would never mention the word divorce. That would never be an option in our marriage. And, you can say never, now they always say never, but it has helped us. It's been a strong guardrail for us to know that whatever happens, we are in it together and we're going to figure it out together. So when one of us is angry about something, when, it's, we're very intentional about knowing that at the end of the day, we are here for each other, even when we're angry with each other or disagree with each other. So that to me is important. I can't really speak to how people who come from really close-knit families, how they feel about going into a marriage. I don't really know. All I know is that I never wanted to get married. And then once I decided, yeah,
that's big.
It was huge. And I always feel like God kind of intervened when I started talking about, I was single and I started talking about in vitro fertilization and things like that. And how do I want my life to look? And then that was when God basically plopped Saul down right in front of me and said, stop, you're talking silliness. Here's your husband.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it was sweet.
Very sweet. Yeah. I sometimes say I don't like my husband. I love my husband. I don't like him right now. Because I think that's just being real. And I had I was in a snit with him the other day, and I think part of it may have been the virus. I'm not sure. The coronavirus. I could blame a lot on that.
Me too.
But part of it was just we hadn't had a date in so long because our adult children are home.
Yes.
And I love it that they're home, but we just needed to get out. And after 24 hours or so and some nice texting therapy from an older woman, I said, oh, we just need a date. And he looked at me. I think he was so happy I was talking to him. And I said, I'll plan it. You pay for it. And we did it. So it was really fun. Okay, back to you. your family, your ministry. Tell me
Yeah,
about your
so
ministry.
my ministry is kindness. I really love to help guide people between, over that bridge of living life to actually loving life, because I feel like there's a divide there for a lot of people where we're kind of going through the motions. And I feel like kindness is the perfect bridge to get into loving life. And
Wow. I
mhm.
didn't know that was the motive behind it. I thought it was just
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
wanted to be nice to people. So
No,
it's really to help us. It's kind of I
it's
like to call that sanctified self-serving.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very self-serving. There's all kinds of research that talks about what
Yeah.
happens in our bodies when we do an act of kindness, and why,
Hmm.
throughout the Bible it talks about those, are who give are the ones who receive, and really science backs that up pretty clearly. So
Hmm.
it's this idea that when we get our eyes off of ourselves and we put them onto other people intentionally and systematically, which is what kindness is in a lot of ways, that's when we stop feeling that, whether we're feeling shame or whether we're feeling unproductive, or any of those things, self-centered, any of those things that we're
Mhm.
feeling, or pity for ourselves, when we turn our eyes onto somebody else, that really helps a lot of those situations resolve really quickly.
So true, and I think I was all those things yesterday in my bed for all afternoon, and then I got up and, washed the dog and took her for a walk and made dinner, and I did feel better
Yeah.
because I was doing something for someone else, and, I think it's a formula. I don't think God always gives us formulas, but I think that is a formula. When we give to others, that He blesses us. So
Yeah.
great. So, in speaking about a legacy, I know it's kindness, but is there a way you want to explain it even better for our audience? What legacy do you want to pass down to those you know and love?
Mhm. Well, I feel like the legacy that I want my kids, especially, and then their kids, my grandkids someday, is to live in a home that that is compassionate, that sees kindness around them, because there is kindness happening around us all the time. So many times we're involved in it, but many times we're
Mm,
not. It's just happening around us. And so the legacy I want to leave my kids is a new vision. I want them to have the vision of kindness in their life always, because instead of just going through the motions of life, or going through life and, yeah, I'm going to help this person out here or there, to really stop and think about why that's important. To say to themselves, I helped someone today. I mattered today to
mm.
someone else. And someone else mattered so much to me today. And I think if we can have that sort of vision, if we can change our perspective, so that's what it looks like, that's a legacy that will heal our world.
Hmm. That is great. So you say that you want to build this into your children, that they will have a vision of kindness. And can you illustrate that for us?
Sure. Yeah, there are definitely some really practical tools people can use for that. And one of them I've used before I even realized what I was doing was to ask my kids each day 3 questions. I'd say, what was your glad? What was your
Mm.
sad? And what was your act of kindness? And I did this way, way back when my 16-year-old was in preschool. I would ask her each day those questions. And, what was your glad? And her glad might be, I got to be the person who wrote on the chalkboard today,
Mhm.
and her sad might be, I didn't have time to play with the Legos at playtime or whatever. And then I'll say, well, what was your act of kindness? And that is either, for my kids, I would say it's either something you did, or something you saw, or something someone did for you. And so, that was always tricky with all 3 of my kids. They would say, my act of kindness, my act of kindness. And so I would kind of help lead them through it. And I'd say, well, did anyone bring a snack today? And they'd say, oh yeah, it was Sophia's turn to bring snack today. And I'd say, oh, okay. Or I'd say, did anyone help hand out napkins today
Mhm.
to you when you're going to have your snack? And so it was little tiny things like that that helped them realize it. And the cool thing was, because we've just invested in those questions day after day after day after day, when they came home from school, they would get to the point where if I forgot to ask, they'd say, Mom, you didn't ask me about my act of kindness
Yeah,
today, and I've been
so
saving
funny.
it for you. Like they become aware of it. And
Right.
that's where the vision really changes, is not that they're answering to me and they're responding to my,
Mhm.
authority on it, but just that throughout the day, they know that they're going to be asked about it. So they're paying attention to it. So then
Mhm.
what in turn happens is they naturally become, naturally becomes part of their vision.
I've had my kids recently say, "Mom, did we do our gratefuls yet?" Because of we're in sheltering in place, and so I said every night at dinner, everybody say a grateful because it's so easy not to be grateful during this time.
Mhm.
And then one person gets to be in charge of that meal where they share a funny meme or start a game or read something that they've read that day that's inspirational. So
Oh,
I started and I read something from Jesus Calling, and then my husband shares these hilarious rap videos about washing your hands. I mean,
yes.
because he doesn't like to read out loud, but
Yeah.
that way I get to include everybody's gifting. But the other day, Mary came to dinner a little late because she's doing online school. And she goes, "Did we already do our gratefuls?" I thought, oops, I forgot them all together because she had a grateful. So it's true that our kids, just a little bit of prompting, it becomes their mindset. I
Mhm.
missed something you said. You said you asked them for something they did or something they saw. What was the third one? Do you recall?
I always ask, the kindness is something they did, something they saw, or something someone did for them.
Something someone did for them, of course.
So it's the idea of being the giver, the receiver,
And
or the witness of kindness.
oh, something did. My mother used to say I have the gift of receiving because I was always asking, but so that's not exactly what God had in mind, I don't think.
She also
Something
gave
did
you
for you.
the gift of humor. So
Yes,
there
he
you
did.
go. She did,
God
yes.
gave me that, and it's for him, but I do enjoy it, and that's really why my husband married me. I have to remind myself that. So when I'm feeling in a snit with him, I think, this is not really my most loving side. How
Yeah.
are you currently passing on? Well, you've already said how you did it with your kids when they're little, but how are you currently doing this? Like, tell me a little bit about the kindness podcast. Oh, and I still don't have the answer to this question. Why did you start with kindness? Why, what to hit you at a certain age? Maybe you were 20, 15, 25, when you go, guys, kindness is really what I want to emphasize.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yes. And it was interesting because it was simultaneous for me with finding out who God was and what his character was.
Oh, I love
So,
that. That could be
mhm.
a whole podcast, but go ahead and
Yeah.
say it in one
Yeah.
sentence.
What?
Can you explain that a little bit? Elaborate?
Yes. So I had a friend invite me to a Bible study, and I told her I am not a Bible study girl. And she said, "Well, that's good because we're using Lisa Turker's book called More Than a Good Bible Study Girl." I was thinking, she does not understand what I am seeing right now. But um, what I did eventually say yes, because my friend, her name is Chris Linares, and she's from Brazil, and she's amazingly fun. And she reminds me of Sofia Vergara from
Yes.
Modern Family. She's
Mhm.
very much Sophia. And so who wouldn't want to hang out and just
Exactly.
giggle with her? So we went, I did the Bible study, and Lisa mentioned in her videos two things. And one was that you are a child of God. And the second was that God has big plans for you. So I remember being in that Bible study and asking Chris, what's the practical application for that? And she said, why don't you start by just asking God, make me a vessel for you? And so
Wow.
every morning and every night, even not knowing really who I was praying to or whether he cared,
Mm.
I just repeated that kind of prayer every morning and every night. God, make me a vessel for you. And it was through that that the kindness column invitation came about. It was to write in a newspaper about kindness. And it was through that I just really realized that my time to shine hadn't passed me by when I got the lead in the High School Musical. It hadn't passed me by when I was Miss Wisconsin but didn't win Miss America. It hadn't passed me by when I was a TV anchor, you know, who just stopped at a certain market size. You know, my time to shine, as I believe everyone's time to shine, is every day. And it comes through loving on other people well. And
Mm.
so you have taught me throughout the 4 years we've known each other how to love people really well by inviting them into my home, or having a Bible study in my home. I did that because you said I could, and that I would be good at it, and I wouldn't need a new couch, and all I'd have to serve is popcorn. And you had all of your tips from your book, so that I took to heart.
Wow.
And what I found was that, I still don't necessarily thrive in that area of inviting people into my home
Mhm.
or cooking for them, certainly not. But I do see those as acts of kindness.
Mm.
And so your gifting of kindness is different than my gifting of kindness, but that's great because people's receiving of that kindness is also different.
Well, I see them parallel, or actually, all the gifts that God gives us are avenues for people to know God. So, your kindness ministry is an avenue for people to see the kindness of God towards them so that they see that they are welcomed. And my avenue of hospitality is hopefully, I don't do it every day, that I welcome people into God's welcome. It's not
Mhm.
so that I show off as a great entertainer. I remember a friend telling me, "Oh, you need to meet so and so. She's entertained so beautifully, and she hires cooks and waiters when she throws parties." And I said, "That's not hospitality. If it were, I could never do it. That's
Yeah.
entertaining. I love to enjoy that, but
Yeah.
that's entertaining, and that's different." And God asks us to open our lives by being kind or by inviting people so that He is shown off.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
what you're doing. That's what you're doing
That's
now.
that's the goal, is to get
And
myself really out of it, and focus on the other person, but really to know that it's God shining, that we get to be His vessels.
if one of my listeners wants to talk to you more about your conversion experience and how you got to know God, how would they connect with you?
They would email me
Okay,
at
what's
info at NicoleJPhillips.com. NicoleJ, as in Jean, that's for my mama, Phillips, PHILLIPS.com.
okay, and I'll put that in show notes as well when I link your books. Could you tell me how are you currently doing the kindness ministry, and what changes did you have to make or obstacles to overcome to make it happen?
Sure. Well, it's been a long time coming. So I've added things and taken things out. But basically, on Monday, I write a blog that's just kind of whatever is floating through my head that particular day. It might have to do with kindness, it might not. This week, I wrote about how I needed to I needed to stop my son from being on internet games so often, like it was electronics, so
I saw that on Instagram. So was it a blog or an Instagram or both?
yeah, it's both. I write the blog on my website and then I put it on all the social media
Okay.
places. So
Oh.
everything I'm talking about you can find on my website at braveandkind.net, but you can
Mm.
also find it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of those places.
Okay.
So Monday's the blog, Tuesday is a live video that kind of talks about a kindness story. Wednesday, someone from my kindness team posts a really sweet, encouraging, inspirational quote. And Thursday is the day that the latest kindness podcast comes out each Thursday. And Friday is the day that we do the Kindness is Contagious column that runs in newspapers in North Dakota and Minnesota. And then
Mm.
Saturday and Sunday are, uh, they're both Sabbaths. I need 2 Sabbaths each week to function fully. 2 days to just, come down. So
Well, that is a lot. I had no idea you do this every day. You do something every day. Your work week is
yeah,
amazingly full.
it is, but it's nice because it's all things that I can really do before 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I work really, I feel closest with God. I feel the most downloads coming to me about what might be important in other people's lives and in my life as well. And I can process that best in the morning. So I work hard in the morning, and then for the rest of the day, I am the mom. I'm the answering emails. I'm doing that kind of stuff. But my favorite part, Sue, honestly, is the speaking that I get to do. And right now, because of COVID-19, I'm on hiatus. I'm hoping that this will all bounce back and that I will get the chance to go around and speak with people, because businesses, insurance companies, banks, hospitals, lots of hospitals, schools for teachers and administrators. I'll stand in the bathroom before I go to speak, and I just will get almost weepy about the fact that God let me
Mhm.
deliver this message today for someone who needs it. And I always say, if there's an audience of 500, 1,500, or 5, it doesn't matter, because I always know that there's one person in that audience that really needs to hear what God's going to say through me.
Mm.
And so it doesn't matter if it's a Christian event or a secular event, because I know that God has something to say to someone, and I am the one who gets to deliver it. And so to be able to stand in the background and just feel that before I speak is just, I love it. I love it.
I know exactly how you feel. Except our ministry is different because you have so many opportunities in the secular world that
Mm.
your speaking is a beautiful crossover. And I've done some, but mostly I speak to, mostly the women in my audience are Christians, and I love it too. And I know this is how God has called me, but what a great opportunity you have. Plus uh, you're kind of famous because of your husband being a coach. I mean, I think we need to
Mhm.
use whatever platform God has provided, and yours is in sports, and everybody loves sports, especially a winning team. And they also feel sorry if they're not winning because
Yeah,
everybody has times
that's
when they're
true.
not winning.
I
So,
think I gained more followers when my husband lost his job
yeah.
than any other
Well,
time.
yeah, because we don't always like a winner. We love a loser because we can identify.
Yeah.
And so I've lost all my speaking engagements as well. And so I'm wondering what God has in mind because that gives me such joy to do it. But I'm also like 40 years older than you, so you'll have many more opportunities. And I've already had so many. So I'm so thrilled. Is there
Oh,
any?
don't put yourself out to pasture yet, Sue. Come on. I'm not buying that for one moment.
Well, see these
You
wrinkles
have
right here.
always had more energy than I have had.
Well, I need to go to wherever you live, North Dakota or South Dakota.
South.
You're hardy, honey bun. You're hardy. Um,
That's true.
what wisdom would you like to leave with our Welcome Heart audience?
Hmm. Hmm. I think that I'd like to share one thing. I would like to ask your audience to think about what they're thinking about. Just do that. Just think about what you're thinking about. And once you get to that point and you realize my thoughts are kind of junky, I'm constantly worried about being hurried or worried, or, I'm being a judge or a jury of somebody else. And, we look at where our thoughts settle most of the time, we can intentionally decide not to park our brain in that spot. We can intentionally reject those thoughts. We can replace them with, scripture or mantras or beautiful song lyrics or poems or whatever speaks to someone. We can reject and we can replace with something that's life-giving. But the first part of that starts with thinking about what you're thinking about. And if you can do that, it's a game changer.
Hmm. Have you done that yourself?
Oh, yes. Yes. And I will tell you, I was an alcoholic. I don't know if you know this about me, Sue, but I was an alcoholic. I was a smoker, drinker, overeater, angry at my husband all the time. And this was back in 2011. And I came across a book by Joyce Meyer
Hmm.
that was talking about power thoughts. And I realized that most of what I was thinking is what Joyce would call stinking thinking. But I really let my brain run around wild. It was a wild forest in there. And so in 2011, I decided to really get committed into cleaning up my thinking and being intentional and systematic about loving others well and being God's vessel and listening for the Holy Spirit to say, hey, go talk to that person. Or, hey, you have something that person could use right now. And once I did that, within a year of being intentional about that, I had totally quit drinking. I still don't drink anything. I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I lost 30 pounds. I fell in love with my husband, who it turns out is a really great guy when I'm not constantly looking for his flaws.
Hmm.
Uh, so it was a game changer for me, and it can be for all of your listeners as well.
Thank you so much. And thanks for your vulnerability. I appreciate that. Have always appreciated that about you, Nicole. So please, let's repeat again where they can find you on your podcast as well as your website. And then I'll put everything in the show notes.
Absolutely. You can reach me all over social media at Nicole J. Phillips. I have a podcast called The Kindness Podcast. It's on NPR and iTunes and Google Play and anywhere else you want to find a podcast, but it's called The Kindness Podcast. It's got a red graphic. And
The book's coming out or that have come
oh
out?
yeah, so I have two books that I self-published. One is called Kindness is Contagious and one is called Kindness is Courageous, and they're both 100 stories of kindness that have run in the newspaper, that for my newspaper column. And then the
Wonderful.
third book, pardon me.
Wonderful, I said.
Oh yeah. And so the third book coming out in September of 2020 is called The Negativity Remedy: Creating More Joy, Less Stress, and Better Relationships Through Kindness. And so that's published by Baker Publishing, and I'm thrilled about that. They're a
Fabulous.
top-notch organization. The
Yes,
fact that
they are.
they would help me to get this message out is just does something to my heart.
Fabulous. I can't wait to get it. And I'll put the link to it. It's not out yet, though.
It is not out yet.
Can they pre-order yet?
No, September 1st is when it's going to come out. So I don't know how far in advance we'll do a pre-order, but there definitely will be a pre-orders time.
Well, this may be out past September 1st right now anyway, so they can get it. So we'll get
So go get it. There you go.
Thanks so much for joining me. It's been a blast.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay.